Today we're peeling back the layers on Nano Banana, Google's new image model. But we're not just here to monkey around, we're going to stack it up against two other image models. So let's see if Nano Banana slips up, or is it really top banana? Okay, thank you for putting up with that. Today we're going to take a look at Nano Banana. Like I said, it's really Google Flash 2.5 image model preview. It's Nano Banana. We're going to call it Nano Banana because that's really a great name. Really, this is Google's new image model that they just released, and we really want to see, they mentioned a few things that they're getting really good at, and we want to see how it stacks up against other models. This is Google's AI Studio. It's one of the places that you can use Nano Banana yourself. Just drop in, you can go to chat, and over here, if you click on the models, you can go to images and find the Nano Banana model. We're going to use ChatGPT, creating an image if you want to play along. And I'm also going to be using Flux as the third model in our experience here. We're going to be using Kontext Pro. Let's take a look and see how they really stacked up. All right, real quick, one of the things that's kind of excellent about what Google is doing here is they offer you a ton of use of this model for literal free. I've been using a non-subscribed account. If you have a Gmail account or anything that you log in with Google, I would say definitely give their AI Studio a try. They're trying to drag people into their product, and they're giving away 100 images a day on that model. And if you have any subscription, you have 10 times more than that. It's really great. Also, all of the API usage that we're going to use here, if we had called these, we would be spending about 4 cents per image for all three models. So they're really the same kind of cost. By the way, I'm going to introduce a new term here that I'm kind of creating because I'm trying to figure out a way to describe how we use natural language to edit all kinds of things. And I really believe this concept of flow editing really fits the bill for me, at least. I've been calling it vibe editing and vibe coding and those kinds of things, but I think that really gives us a sense that it's just playful and you're just going with whatever occurs. And flow editing to me, or flow coding, is this idea that you're in charge or you're part of the process and you're really interested in an outcome, but you're allowing AI to kind of play as a kind of a co-author in whatever you're doing. So you're going to hear me say flow editing. So one of the things that they said is flow editing was much stronger, and this was really the first release of this model, but it's an extension of some of the other image models that they have. You should be able to go in and just have a conversation to update things. We've seen this with the GPT model previously, and it was a fantastic release. Does anybody remember Ghibli? Yeah, that. So this is that same kind of concept. They're saying now we can do real flow editing. We can really do natural language conversational edits to your images. Kontext Pro is always our first model that we'll be covering. Then Nano Banana will be the yellow one in the middle. And the last one is GPT Image. So if we go through this, you can see, in fact, if I pull up our tools for a second, I can show you the prompt behind this, just a rocket ship on the launching pad, moments away from liftoff. And then the second prompt, and all of the prompts are the same across the board, of course, for all models. This one is make the sky, clearly showing that there's a huge meteor strike coming in and our heroes and the banana rocket ship are there to save the day. And then the third one is show our banana rocket ship in after it's launched and rising above the earth. What it's going is stage separation, so this whole thing. And then the last one here is imagine it landing on a foreign planet and the astronauts are emerging from a rocket ship in slightly banana-like spacesuits. Okay, so this is where we ended up. I don't know that it looks very much different than the previous image. And the previous image, of course, is just basically removing the launching pad. So Kontext did not really pull this one out. Let's see how Nano Banana did. So Nano Banana gave me, frankly, one of my favorite banana images for the launching pad. I think they did this fantastically. Maybe they were extra trained on bananas, but pay attention to the fins that we have here. And we have 3 nozzles. The next one where there's a meteor, we still have the nice sharp fins, and the nozzles down here are still very clear, and it is now lifting off. This is stage separation. We've lost a nozzle. Fins are a little bit different, but it's relatively close. If I select it, one of the neat things that you get with Recraft is it allows you to create multiple images per shot. And so these are 2 different of the same. And this one does have the same fins. So it's worth saying they really did a pretty good job here. And then if we get to the very end, we can see the fins are relatively the same. So this one, they did a great job. By the way, come on, these are banana-like spacesuits if I've ever seen them. This is kind of great. All right. GPT, it's your chance. What'd you get? What'd you get? All right. They kind of stylized it from the beginning, right? They didn't go photorealistic from the beginning for lifting off with the meteor. That's great. Stage separation's pretty good. Still very stylized, kind of cool, actually. And then the final one, I'll say they kind of nailed the outfits as well. Those are semi-banana-like, to say the least. We now have these top fins that are maybe part of the peel. Who knows? So you can see the differences here of how they conformed along the story. And again, I went from one image to the next image in this. So I think they both performed quite well. GPT Image and Nano Banana both have very much the same performance, I would say, but it becomes a stylistic setting. The next one, which is consistency. One of the things that they said was they were going to be very consistent with people. So I decided to go create one image of people and share that one as the starting point for all of the models. So each one of these models, first thing that they get, if you take a look, their origin image here was the same image. All of them have the same origin image. And that's an important distinction. When you see these images out to the left, that's me saying I started with a source image and then every generation came from that source image. And so we start with Kontext Pro again, and the thing here is just put these people on an airplane, and frankly, it did a pretty good job. You zoom in too much, you start realizing there's some separation, some differences that are happening here. Like we lost a person, so unfortunately one of their friends is lost in the shuffle, and a little bit of a strange airplane, but not terrible. I guess I could believe that's an airplane. And the next one was put them on a beach, I think was the prompt behind this. Put these people on a beach, and wow, wildly from this image to this image, put them on a beach, brought along the chairs that they were in and put them in their chairs on a beach. I thought this one was hilarious. And the last one was put these people at a corporate retreat, and well, okay, so that's them at a corporate retreat, still in their airplane chairs. I wonder if their belts are done. You should be belted in, sir. And still, the faces are actually pretty good. When we start talking about consistency here, this isn't perfect. These people are really, really very close. You'll see in a second that's not always the case. But, of course, what do they do after they've had their corporate retreat for the day? Well, they have to go to a club. And this is them dancing at a club. This one was incredible. I love this one. Again, the people actually in the Flux model here were quite consistent. Let's see how Nano Banana did, because this is what they said they were going to be good at. All right, same people. Now we've brought our friend back. I will say, by the way, this is the TLDR. If you want humanistic people composition kind of consistency, this thing is brilliant. Almost to a fault. Like there will be places where it is more interested in keeping the people intact than any of the other changes you're asking for. So let's put them on a beach. They pretty much look like they've just moved directly, but okay, at least maybe they're all glued together in this form or something like that. These faces are incredibly similar, if not exactly the same. So I found this to be something they did. They just nailed it. Now, I'll admit, we kind of run into a little bit of trouble here. We've introduced our boss, I suppose. We bring our boss in, but the faces are still brilliant. And this corporate retreat, by the way, just because there's a golf course outside, I'm not sure I'd call this a corporate retreat. And then finally, if they got to go dancing, well, they lost one of their buddies, brought the boss along, but still, faces are brilliant. And you can see really their behaviors have changed, their facial positions have changed, where they're looking. Hands down, complete winner for Nano Banana. Why do I say that? Let's take a look at the GPT image model. So, all right, so this one's a little bit difficult, but here's what I'll say. If you can see these faces clearly, I will caution anybody that has a sensitivity to this, because I seem to have a sensitivity to the uncanny valley, to the nervousness that I get in seeing faces that are near human. So as you can see, first off, lots of teeth, the exact same teeth. I'm not sure what dental kind of practitioner database the GPT team trained on for their image model. This is how it creates people. Oh, don't worry, it gets a heck of a lot better than this. These are nowhere near the same people that we had. If we look at her and we look at the original image, so this is her, pardon me, I know, gets me a little creeped out as well. And you come back here, very, very different person every single time, right? So what happens after they got off the airplane? Let's go to the beach. Sure, let's go to the beach. And boy, these people are thirsty, right? This completely different set of people, maybe twinsies. I'm not really sure, but different people definitely on the beach got a little bit better about, hey, they're on the beach. They're not really on an airport or airplane any longer. Corporate retreat. They were nice enough to let us know this is their corporate retreat as well. And the faces. And we really start getting into things that stop, to me, really looking a lot like faces. This one you'd very easily be able to pick out that it's AI. And when they go dancing, frankly, this one normalized them a little bit more. Take a look at Google. Nano Banana's your winner here. Okay, on to world knowledge. So one of the things that they said that they got a lot better at was people are reporting it as physics or understanding of the world that these photos inhabit. So whatever's in the photo, it's trying to theoretically understand from a volume or mass kind of standpoint. That's at least the idea. And so I challenged this a little bit, and I'll hold off on the Kontext Pro because just awesome, just fantastic. So what did I start with? Just a nice fluffy stack of towels. I did that also in GPT image model. So we have two different stacks. I didn't start from a single source image. Then I put a banana gently on top. There's maybe a dent here. You might be able to make out a dent. I'm okay with that. That starts to feel like what I'm looking for. And then I decided to replace that banana, and this is kind of how the prompts work, replace the banana with a 1,000-page book on the history of bananas. And really, frankly, kind of nailed the titling of the book, the size of the book from 1,000 pages. Those were also tests for does it understand what a world model would look like if it understands what a 1,000-page book has to be. No real indentation. And in fact, this is our first hint. So if we drew a line here, you'd see it's almost straight across the tops of these towels. And so that's kind of interesting. What you might notice here is where this subject is in the image. And that's my clue. If I go to the last one, which is I put a bowling ball on the top thinking, all right, let's really test it and see if it can actually change from heavy to heavy and shape. And okay, I will say in this bowling ball world, I definitely seem, maybe it's just my eye, maybe it's just happening because I have a world model in my head that I feel like there's a divot here in this towel. But okay, there's a little something. However, look at this bowling ball. It's in the same place as the book, and that's our clue, if you remember. So the bowling ball, same place as the book, same place as the banana. Look how big the banana is. Look at how tiny the bowling ball is. And this is not any kind of bowling ball you've ever seen. So they didn't fit that in. I think they're working on framing. So I think they're worried about the clipping. They have towels. They take up a certain amount of space. The image is a certain height. I have a feeling that's in its training in some way to indicate we're trying to keep things in frame, which I definitely agree with. I'm okay with. But in this case, I would have hoped that it would push the towels down or something like that. It did not. So let's take a look at GPT image model. Same thing, except I started with really fluffy towels. I'm going to carefully count the inside creases that you see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 creases. Keep that in mind because it gets a little bit strange in a moment. We put a banana on top, nice and delicately, and yeah, come on. I definitely see some compression. The color of the towels have changed. The lighting has changed a little bit. So our consistency is not nearly as strong as what's happening on the Nano Banana model. But we still have 5 creases. Okay, that's fine. Even though these are very weird towels to begin with, that's fine. Welcome to AI. Now let's put a book on this, right? A 1,000-page book. And this gets very odd. So the book, definitely 1,000-page book, the history of bananas, very, very literal of you, ChatGPT. And then what we see is 1, 2, 3 creases. And what has happened is this top towel had to lean so that the book could be kind of biased so that we could read the cover at this angle. And they wanted to do that. The model decided it wanted to do that so badly that it needed to tip things into an unrealistic geometry to some degree, and then definitely created unrealistic geometry on the towels themselves. So maybe you could claim that it's actually trying to create the pressure of that book. But I have a feeling, once again, we're back into framing. So the top of this is not escaping the frame or anything like that. The top is not lower than you would expect on this stack of towels kind of thing, maybe a little. So I really don't think this is actually kind of physics information or world model information. It's more of a relationship to the frame itself. And of course, we got to check out our bowling ball. But I will say they freaking nailed the bowling ball. Now, it is dealing with the 3 crease towels, but it does go from this image to this image. image. So this guy just happened to have the 3 crease to begin with. It changes color once again. The lighting has changed. The color of the table has changed. So there's not nearly the consistency. If you were really trying to create a sequence of images, you would have to pass this through post filters to fix it. The bowling ball at the very least looks pretty good, but if we zoom back out, it's still roughly the size of a banana. So maybe isn't really the real size, and it's just taking its actual context of the image itself as relative space that it's going to fill up. So that one's interesting, but okay, now we've got to get to this top. Okay, Flux, how'd you do? Nice, extremely standard version of towels, even in a pyramid shape. Put a banana in. Again, I think we're facing this framing problem. They removed a towel just so that they could fit the banana in, and that seems to be a strong indicator across all of these image models. Then we asked to replace the banana with a book, and this is why I saved these to the end, because what? So had I just said, put a book here, or add a book, or not replace. The word replace indicates to me that it will actually put it in the same location. So something odd here in general. I wouldn't trust this model to understand my natural language intent nearly as strong. Maybe this is some of the world model stuff at play, that replace. Maybe it understands placement. We'll test that a little bit in a second, but we got to get to the last one because it's the most fun. Last one, add a bowling ball. Replace the book with a bowling ball is the instruction here. So, all right, world knowledge. I was testing that once again with some physics, had a table, decided to put a China set on it, decided to put some watermelons on that. Let's see, what was the prompt on this one? Roughly put 3 watermelons on the table. And the idea was it had a China set. I didn't tell it to remove the China set. Roughly put them on there. Okay, it didn't really understand that concept. Then the next one is drop a very heavy rusty engine block and parts on top of everything. So this was my hope that it would actually attempt to visualize dropping it on there, not actually in the drop. It's fine that it's sitting. I'm at rest is perfectly fine with me, but I really thought that it would go through the mental model of some sort to say this was dropped on top of those other parts. Admittedly, we don't have the watermelons, or it ate them at least. I don't know, it completely disintegrated them, I suppose. But then the last one is drop 6,000 pounds of bananas on the table. Let's see what happens. So, all right. So context, moving on. This was flow. Let's go see what Nana got it. And yeah, Nano Banana, I kind of like that one even more. I wish they'd have left it as Nano Banana. All right, so nice clean table. That's what we start from. I will also point out, take a look at some of this background here. We have these 3 plants. We have this copper pot, nice stove back here. So it is definitely worth wondering about their consistency. This one really shows off some of their consistency strength. So the next thing that we do is simply place a delicate tea set on the table. Things are still very strong in the background there. That is almost like for like. And we do have a tea set, probably the best tea set that we got. All right, what's next? Roughly put some watermelons on here. Maybe one of them split open when we roughly put it on there. I'm not really sure, but nope, didn't really have any impact. I thought maybe it would disrupt the China set, break something. Didn't do that. Let's do an engine. You want to heavily drop an engine on it. All right, so this one definitely, it got the brief of heavily dropping an engine, but interestingly, none of the cups are moved or broken. None of the watermelons are broken or moved. Ground is dramatically affected. So very interesting. We got another copper pot. A couple other things happened, but still the consistency in the background is as high as any of the things that we've seen so far. So it really still is winning on that consistency, though it did change things. It did splatter the wall, which I was very impressed with. All right. How about 6,000 pounds of bananas? Okay, so in this case, I was trying to figure out if it could figure out volume from 6,000 pounds of banana. That's a lot of tons of bananas, basically. You know, we're talking 3 tons of bananas. This is not 3 tons of bananas. I mean, it could be a really, really large table. All right, GPT started with nice close-up of a kitchen table. And as we've seen, GPT going from image to image does not maintain consistency nearly as well. 2 potted plants, 2 dishes up top. So let's move on. We have the 2 plants. We moved the handle, but that seems pretty straightforward. And this corner pot here is a little bit different. I will stop pointing those out, but it's that fast that it makes a change. This was just put a tea set on this table, and that quickly things have already shifted, and you would have to fix that somehow in post if you were trying to use these things together. This tea set's also quite a bit wonky if you really get into it and wonder what the heck they were up to. So I would say already I'm definitely much happier with Nano Banana. Nano Banana on this. I really like roughly dropping watermelons. They gently, kind of slide into place where they belong. At the tea sets, I think they've eaten something here, maybe one of the cups, and moved the sugar bowl, but that happens. And then when we drop the parts here, this one's excellent. So we drop the engine block and parts, and I think some of this is informed from the teapot that we have. I don't know if it's actually the teapot. It's changed so much. It's really, maybe it's the sugar bowl. So, okay, that's really getting different. The background has now shifted quite a bit at this point. So now what do we do with 6,000 pounds of bananas? Still nothing broke, nothing I did get anything to break or disrupt. Even our coffee is just still sitting there waiting for us. Now, it's possible only 200 pounds of bananas fit on this table, and, they left the rest on the floor because they do have them stacked up down here. I don't know what the model is saying. Okay, world model using object. And what I was doing, this again is with a seed image. All I was trying to do is figure out if what they meant by world knowledge was they could look more informed at the objects inside of the world that the photo created and understand the relationship between objects. So you'll see the kind of prompts that I have here. We have this first one is swap the giraffe and the shark. And oh yeah, let's see our first image. So here we go with this cute little fun day out for our awesome stuffed animal troop at the amusement park. And I named the different animals to make sure that we got multiple animals. And I thought maybe that will be the way that I can reference different ones. You'll see that didn't exactly always work out. But okay, now when we swap the giraffe and the shark, well, we definitely have a shark up front and the giraffe is not. So it did something, but not quite. The second one is make the tallest scared, thinking, okay, maybe it knows about height, maybe it knows that kind of physics. Everybody became, I think, scared except the tallest. So, okay, maybe there's some negative prompting in there that I was not aware of, but we are getting to a place that I can understand why this guy is a little bit frustrated with life right now. All right, what was next? Any extinct should wear a t-shirt. And well, elephants and, I don't even know. I guess you're an elephant, you're a hippopotamus. I don't know this, and certainly got one right. I don't know who just jumped onto the back of our little train here. So, all right. Well, this is our shark, by the way. Oh, what happened to him? All right, moving on. What happened next? Each wears a shirt from their country of origin. All right, you can kind of see where I'm going with these, right? So do they each, there's no possible way I can tell. I don't know what this model is doing at this point. It did put very t-shirts on them, I'll say that. And our last one is make the car's X-ray screens to show surprising parts inside. So the idea was hopefully, and nobody got this right, by the way, that you would be able to see through the cars and you'd see the legs and the leg bones and I don't know, some Coke cans or something down in the... So this didn't work. It's fine. It's maybe just a bad prompt. It's believable. All right. What happened to Nana? All right, Nana. How'd you do? What was our first one? Swap the giraffe and the shark. Perfect. Literally perfect. So these guys swapped. Even gave some attitude to the giraffe. Here, I'll swap over to, this is our original giraffe. That's our original shark. And now our shark, similar, doesn't have his flag anymore. And the giraffe is leaning to the side as if to say, I wanted to ride in the front. All right. This one, brilliant, by the way. Had a bokeh effect. It seems to have done a little bit of a bokeh effect in the background, which still is really excellent for this. Had it bokeh'd some of these others, this would have really drawn this in and turned it into one of the best images that I've created through all of these exercises. All of the characters look highly consistent. Of course, this one is highly expressive. Come on, you feel that fear, right? All right, so that one was great. What's next? Any extinct should wear a t-shirt. I really got worried for sharks here. I'm not really sure. It did give our dinosaur a t-shirt, which is great. And skull and crossbones for our sharky shark? Maybe that's just a life statement. All right, what's the next one? Each wears a shirt from their country of origin. All right, we definitely got a few shirts. I don't know if this is, maybe Brazil is what they're going for. Tanzania is very clear. India, I believe, is very clear. No shirt on our monkey, which is curious. And I don't know, New Zealandish. I don't know. Maybe all sharks are from New Zealand? I don't know. So what happened with this one? Cars, X-rays. It tried. I will give it that. Gave it a shot. This is a little bit insane. Last one. How did ChatGPT do with this? ChatGPT lost its mind on this challenge. This one was a complete train wreck. This is coming from our original image and saying, swap the giraffe and the shark. Nice stuffed animals, muddy mess of clay and Play-Doh, basically, is what's going on here. Our shark is very happy. All right, what happened next? I mean, we know what happened. I mean, you have to give credit to this. Unintended as it might be, that you definitely feel his fear. I'm sorry, man. All right, let's get you off this. All right, what happened next? Extinct wearing t-shirts. I have even lost track of motorcycle spy agent we have on the train. I don't even know who he is. So, okay, what's last? This is their t-shirts from country of origin. Sure, moving on, because I didn't know all snakes were like from Japan. It's crazy. I'm not sure what's going on. This one really, the one thing that it did try to do is figure out a way to say, oh, there's going to be bones inside. So, all right, this one was awesome. Okay, I'm just warning you, I'm warning me, this is going to hurt me a lot more than it's going to hurt you. You know, we're all very good at identifying faces, but we're excellent, like brilliantly excellent at identifying our own largely. So if there's anything off in image generation and I have my own face in it, pops out, and no one else notices. It could be a tiny little thing and I notice right away. I know we all have that. You'll have to bear with me. I might cry during this segment, but I decided to take a source image and do some of the restyling that they said that the system was very good at doing. So you'd be able to say, put this in the 70s, change the background to green, change the outfit they're wearing, and the consistency would hold. And unfortunately, we're starting with Kontext Pro, which will just trigger me immediately. So, all right, let's zoom right in and say this one was supposed to be bright and happy, I think is the prompt here. So that's what my set would look like, bright and happy. Aren't you glad I chose this set? The next one is dramatic. I'll say the consistency is very strong here. This one curiously is change set background, props, wardrobe lights to represent summer. And I thought, wow, man, that seems like a really easy set design. I wish I had done that. That's not a bad looking set. I'm gonna have to hang some dresses up behind me or something. And then this one, I love this prompt. So this is make me a UFO reporter YouTuber. So this one's excellent. Both of these, I think they really hit it. Flux, you really nailed this one. It's not consistent at all, but it is directionally correct for me. And I can definitely see this as an alternate lifestyle. Not that I want it. Glad it didn't happen. So Nano Banana, this is your time to shine. This really is. Remember we were talking about people's faces and all this other stuff. The one below me is going to trigger me again. We're not getting a ChatGPT anytime soon, but Nano Banana freaking killed this. In fact, do I want a frame around that poster back there? I mean, that looks pretty awesome. All right, what happens next? This is another one. Really a great shot. The construction of this shot is even excellent. I was very happy with this. And even its alternative, the second render from this, I thought really fantastic kind of light. Some of the shading that it got right was really just right. I felt like there is no way you could tell me that this wasn't an actual photo that was taken here for me. All right, well, this one changed me a little bit. I will say, I wish I was this bright and happy and summery. So this is my summer look. Maybe I'll do a nautical theme next year. And then, oh yeah, so come on, this is the winner. This is the show I need to put on. I need to start a second channel. Yeah, let me just move on. All right, GPT, yeah, so trigger alert for me. By the way, this set does look like it's very light. What is this? Change the set to be bright and happy, and that's what you're getting out of this. So I do agree that it took a lot of influence from the background here and me. We'll go with that. The next one, I mean, sure. I mean, I could try. And then, oh yeah, now it starts to reach. So this is back to that GPT uncanny valley. I don't know what's up with this face in general, that it just doesn't quite feel like a face to me. So there's a lot of that. I'll once again call out GPT image. Faces not only are not consistent, obviously, really creepy. Okay, we've reached the ends, and I'm going to call this one composites. Really, what Nano Banana has released is this idea of taking multiple images and pushing them together. So basically, the images up top are the two images that are provided, or 3 or 4 images that are provided to get the image below, and the prompt down here, oh, I don't have them listed out, I apologize. The prompt is some version of Superhero Granny, I think is the one I used for these two images. And when you mix those two up with Flux, you really don't get anything you want. The next one is an ape, a pretty dress, and a nice handbag, and I said, I think pretty ape, and so, okay, moving on. Flux. This one, I decided, okay, how far are we going to be able to push Nano Banana Nano Banana. I'm okay. Can I give it kind of a hint of a location and maybe a type of movie and tell it the summer's big hit or something like that? And so Flux came back and said, sure, I can give you all those images in different orientations. So that's where we end up. And the last one, so that you remember, because we might have to circle back to this, group of girls, a dress that's distressed, intentionally distressed, and a mine cart. And I think I said something like themed wedding or something like that. And what did they give us? Let's see what we ended up with. Perfect. Okay. So let's move on to Nana. Nana, how'd you do? All right. This is Superhero Granny. I'd say that's a pretty good mashup of our source material. It's kind of a reimagining of literally everything, but it's fine. It doesn't need all of this yarn all over the place. It's kind of a mess, but it does keep the background and the suit really intact. So, okay, what's next? Oh, now we're getting somewhere. So now we have Pretty Ape. It doesn't quite fit in the dress, but that's a proud ape. I think she looks good. So, all right, next one. Can it create the summer's biggest hit? Yeah, I mean, really, I did not give it any instruction. I did not say decorate this as the movie theater that's showing a movie. I just said summer's biggest hit. I think literally what you see on the top is what I typed in as the prompt. And I thought, let's see what it can do. It certainly created a guy that I guess has some version of a gun or fire extinguisher or something and a gun barrel, or I don't know. So a little bit over on this one. I don't think this one's great, but it is what it is. Let's get to our wedding. And really, okay, wait a second. This worked, right? This is the idea of people in a themed minecart wedding. I'm not really sure what this theme is exactly. Rags to riches wedding theme or something. This really worked. Now, I don't know. I haven't checked facial recognition or the kind of consistency here, but I'm going to guess they're pretty consistent. Let's take we've got some uncanny going on in the first place. So I don't think I'll judge this one too much. Okay. Yep. They win. That's a great job. Next, ChatGPT. And this is it, by the way. The end of everything. Let's see how ChatGPT does. Now, ChatGPT does not do people all that well, but I will tell you, this is a space that I was very surprised at how strong ChatGPT really, really did in this. In many of my tests and a lot of other tests that I was running that was taking multiple objects and asking it to put it together, it was excellent. I will say one other call out, by the way. Nano Banana, at one point, I gave it the bridesmaids and the dress, and it came back and the minecart, and it came back and said, oh, sure, you want a themed wedding. What would you like me to do? I see your source images. So it kind of interviewed me and asked me. Now it skipped at one point. It said, sure, I'll do that. And it didn't do anything. But once it did something, it turned out that image. So it really was not sure of what to do. And I found that really interesting. I thought that was a really neat touch, that it's the first version of one of these models that's coming back and kind of giving a little thought to what's the confidence of what I'm about to turn back is good. Let me ask. Let me see if I can get some more from the human. This one was, I think, GPT image model was really fantastic at mashing these things up. So this is our granny. Oh, come on. This is the perfect one. This is the perfect shot. It resized the dress appropriately. It didn't try to cram our beautiful ape into the dress. It made her beautiful instead of kind of thematically silly. So I think this one was great. Now, admittedly, standing up full human style, it's a dress. So I can go with that. It kind of went the human direction because of the dress. I even like the extra hairband. So that's a win, GPT. What did we get? Summer's smash hit. So if you recall, we gave it very little information. I don't hate this, right? It gave us a movie poster back is what it did. It did give us a movie poster with a movie theater on it. So, mileage may vary. It's not very useful, but with very, very little information and a lot of various imagery, it did turn something back that was current. At least there's a read in this. Like if you saw this outside of a theater, your mind would start thinking about something. If you saw this outside of a theater, you'd kind of go, what, are they renting out the theater during the afternoon to do some kind of LARPing? What's going on in this place? All right. And so for the last one, remember we have our themed wedding. How did ChatGPT do? What does it have to beat? It has to beat this one, which really, it's going to be hard to beat. That's a really good one. And what did it come up with? Well, I'm sorry. It is really difficult. Now, we have some twinsies and things going on. The human consistency in ChatGPT, we know. But what they ended up doing is something similar. They said, okay, this must be a wedding dress. Because you remember, I just gave them a dress. I didn't say it was the bridesmaid's dress. And so it created a theme of, if this is the dress you're wearing for your wedding and you're going to be in a mine, well, here's the kind of outfits maybe you could get your bridesmaids to wear. I mean, that's pretty awesome, frankly. That's pretty thoughtful versus I'll just put the dress on everybody in the picture. Not bad. I thought the creativity here was excellent. So that's what we get. Those are all of the experiments that I ran for all of the different things. I hope this helped make sense of some of this. Okay, so I know that was a lot. I'm going to guess that I cut it down a fair bit and chopped it pretty quickly in certain spots, but the experimentation here really showed me quite a bit. I thought it was very interesting to see how they did actually compete against one another in places that Flux really performed quite well, and really some places that GPT was good, and other places that the Google model, the Nano Banana, is doing great. Frankly, in general, that model is really fantastic. And the fact that you can get 100 images free a day, oh my gosh, run, don't walk, go to your nearest Gemini. This is really a good use. You should be using it. Give it a shot. Use it in the API. Nano Banana, really, really worth it. That you definitely deserve your name. You definitely top banana. I don't know. I mean, really, honestly, in some cases, I think I will reach for this before the GPT image model. And let me tell you, that's saying a lot for me. All right. Thanks for coming along for the ride on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.